Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello, welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. And one of these days soon we will do a positive podcast where we talk about all the wonderful things that happened. Today is not going to be one of those episodes. So I apologise, but to be honest with you, it's beyond our control. You know, we can only talk about what actually happens. We'll try and put a positive spin as possible on everything we talk about, but it's maybe difficult tonight. We have Mick with us. My cousin's got the blinds open for everybody tonight. A little bit of shrubbery in the background.
A little bit of greenery. Summer's on its way. Thank God.
Yeah. Ben's back with us. Ben's back from Germany. How are we doing, Benjamin?
Good. Very indigestion, but I'm good.
Oh, wonderful. Is there anything to tell everybody about Germany? Anything, again, I'm trying to look at any positives we can tonight, mate. So anything.
I mean, we won 53-8, so we battered them. That's good. But yeah,
tell everybody about you, about your fan.
Yeah. So
Ben's got a fan.
No, it's not. Well, he's not my fan. About 8-year-old, 9-year-old asking all of our team for signature. 2 actually. One with a shirt. There were 2 mates. One with a shirt, and he made his friend punch over so he could use it as a clipboard, basically.
It's an autograph, but it's not just a signature; it's an autograph.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well done, Ben. Next time you go, we'll send you with some New York Talk gear, so you're spreading the name of the podcast as well.
Yeah. I did tell him about it. it.
But he couldn't understand you because you were German. I understand.
But I speak German.
9.
10.
I do.
Wait.
I genuinely do.
Okay. I mean,
ask me.
Where's your next game, Dan?
Danny,
hello.
Hello.
I can speak German too. Ich bin ein Berliner. Means I'm a donut. Which is how I feel after going to Portsmouth. Hey, that's a good transition.
Yeah. Before we get on to that, we will have a quick mention and a bit of a promotion for something that happened at the hospice. We want to give a shout out for Abby Ackroyd, who's her family recently lost. Her father passed away. So obviously thoughts and wishes with the family, but they are doing a walk across the 3 Peaks Challenge in the summer, raising lots of money. They've already raised quite a lot of money, but if you can donate anything, it's all going to the Roslyn Hospice, which we know is a wonderful cause. So if you get onto her Abby_RFC on Twitter, or on her Twitter page, you will see the link. And like I said, well, as with the Ukraine, if you can just donate, brilliant. If not, just get a share, let everybody know. And let's always raise money for a wonderful cause. But it will be a very tough challenge, to be fair. Yes. I would just try to think of anything what else we could talk about before we talk about football.
It's the end of season awards dinner at the stadium whilst we're live at the minute. So I might try and bring you a few updates from that if there's time during the show. Yes, I suppose that's a positive, isn't it? And I think Wes Harding might win best dressed because he's gone for the proper wedding suit. The proper wedding suit.
He has. He looks very well. He looks very, very well. Our end of season award show will be at the end of the season. I know the club have got to do this because of availability of players. And like Danny says, we'll let you know as we're live. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast tomorrow, you'll already know on Friday or Saturday. But anyway, happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter. We're getting to the Easter weekend. Everything I can do to possibly avoid talking about Rotherham United.
Let's try and get to 5 minutes. Come on, 5 minutes. Come on.
Oh, thank you for joining us. If you are, I hope you're enjoying this so far. We'll start with a comment. We've got lots of comments, as you can imagine. John S. Not happy, buddy. He says, no effort, no passion. Ogbene was dreadful. JJ non-existent. Smith, who? Tutu was always swapping feet to his right foot and losing it. Ladapo was actually not that bad when he eventually came on. And Annie says, "Oh," and we all played the high ball. I think John summed it up. Okay, there's parts of that we might pick apart. Danny, you were one of the few hundred that made the journey down to Portsmouth. I suppose the only positive is I think it's a new ground for you to tick off, isn't it?
New ground for me. I've now done every ground that's in League One this season because I've already done Sunderland and Gillingham. So yeah, that's my 24 ticked off in League One. It's quite a nice, classic-looking ground actually. The back alley's a bit shifty at the back of the away end, but no, it's quite a nice place. The pub that we went in before the game were really nice. That was called the Good Companion. It's a shame that the team wasn't our good companion on the day, but anyway. Everything about the trip itself was okay, apart from the actual game of football, which is weird, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, Chris Sanderson, Ben wants to know what is "we were awful" against Portsmouth in German, but you can't do that one, can you?
It would be wir haben swear word gespielt. We played SHIT. We played.
Okay. Very good, everybody. Let's go back to the start of the game, mate. Let's try and go through it sort of piece by piece a little bit. The 4 changes that came in, I think for the most part were okay changes and unsurprising. Jamie Lindsay came in for Ollie Rathbone, which is something we talked about on the last podcast. JJ came in for Freddick. We were assuming Freddie needed a little bit of a rest. Tutu came on the left-hand side for Michael Miller, I think started on Saturday. And Joe Mattock came in on the left-hand side of the 3, which I think would essentially replace Wes Harding, and Icky moved back over to the right-hand side. We called the Jamie Lindsay one. The left-hand side of the wing-back situation it's neither here nor there. You play Fergie Miller or Tutu. It's much of a muchness, to be honest with you. Bringing out Wes Harding, and it seems strange to me. Wes didn't have a bad game, and not knowing Wes Harding's situation, I would have been surprised if he needed a rest, because he doesn't. He seemed looking at the games he played last season. He's one of the fittest of the bunch. So that seemed a strange selection for me not to keep Wes, because he's mobile as well.
It is to me as well. I can't explain it. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand why that is the case. I'd play him every game. He'd be one of the first names on my first names on my team sheet, and I don't really understand why. I don't understand why Reggie's on either. Hey,
no, I mentioned someone else at the start.
Oh,
did it?
I didn't. Yeah.
Or whatever it was. It weren't a swear word.
Oh. Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know why he weren't playing. I don't know. That's not where the issue was, though, is it? Let's be fair.
Possibly not. Things could be different with the. We don't know with the first one because it's a set piece, but the third one certainly.
Yeah.
One of the positives, Ben, fine positives. Osei Tutu was solid. He had a couple of really, really exciting runs, and that's really that. That's what I mean. Let's praise him for what we can. He looks a bit of a different place since the goal at Wembley. He looks like a proper player now.
Yeah, he was. I don't know how to explain it, but he doesn't look like he gels with other people on the team. Like the expressions that he makes and like putting his hands up like this, he just doesn't like he wants to be here. Well, not that he don't want to be here, but like I don't know. There might be a little bit of an attitude problem there because it just looks like he doesn't gel with everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. I sort of get what you mean.
I also don't think he's good enough, but he was all right.
I agree with them. There's something not quite right there.
Yesterday, whenever we played.
Go on, mate.
No, I was just saying I agree with Ben. I think there's something not quite right with Tutu. I don't think he does want to be here. He's clearly a good player and he's played all right. I ain't got an issue with that at all. There's just something for me that doesn't feel quite right about him and us as a fit. It's not something I can put my finger on, but I agree with Ben. Just there's something not quite right there.
Okay, you've just found my positive and just ripped it into shreds.
Yeah,
Cheers
sorry.
for
Sorry about that.
that was the only positive performance I could think of, and you've just ripped it apart. Brilliant.
I don't agree with you. I
Lindsay
don't think
was
he
all
will.
right.
You don't think any good game? Or decent game?
Yeah. I just don't think it was the only positive.
Oh, go on. Yeah, I'll take a positive. What positive you got?
I thought Jamie Lindsay played really well. I thought Jamie Lindsay were well up for the game.
To start with.
To start with, until he got a booking, which obviously takes a little bit of sting out of his game. Justified booking as well, unfortunately.
Stupid.
It showed that he got that fight and he got that passion in him. I thought Icky had the same sort of fight and passion in him. But whatever anybody says at this stage of the season, fight and passion is not what is going to get you through this. That's only part of it.
Yeah.
It's only part of it. And you can have as much as you want that people are calling for, I just want to see fight. We just want to see this, we want to see the other. It's not just about that. And it's all the other parts of the game that have disappeared and deserted us for the moment. Getting quality balls into box. There wasn't a single quality ball went into that box the other night. Not a one from anybody, anywhere. And that is an issue. But I would argue as well, had there been a quality ball going into the box, there'd have been nobody there to go on the end of it anyway. So, because it would have probably come from Smithy or Freddie.
Yeah, possibly.
So,
there's plenty to cover. Let's get Ariel Astro commenting here. Get Reg back on. Maybe give Kelly a try. I'll probably come on to Kelly later on. Gerald Simpson also mentions exactly. Georgia Kelly, in from Ireland. Gerald Simpson also says, baffled at the lack of Reg. I mentioned the Wes Harding question, Danny. The Reg question is just as valid. He's played 2 games since he's come back, since he got injured, which was the Hartlepool game away and the Shrewsbury game at home. And yeah, absolutely, he didn't play very well in either of them. But before then, he had been our most consistent, other than maybe Icky, he'd been our most consistent defender throughout the entire season. For him not to get back in the team is very, very strange.
Well, you just need to look back at when he first came into the squad. He needed that initial run of games to bed himself in, and then he sort of found himself and got going again. And I think that's what he needs. He needs now. He needs to re-find himself in the team. But like you say, he's only played 2 games since coming back from injury. One of which were a cup game, which he wasn't like atrocious or anything. He was just okay. You could sort of tell he'd come back from injury. But the Shrewsbury game, I don't know, because was it
Angus won it?
Yeah, because Angus got sent off. It's a bit of he's sort of like doing 2 jobs, isn't he? But again, it's come to the point now where I think both fans and even Paul Davies, to a point in the advertiser, is saying, why don't we just switch it up a little bit? Instead of like, we've gone from putting square pegs in square holes and it's worked to now suddenly the holes are triangular, but we're still trying to put the square pegs in. And for me, we just need to just tweak it a little bit. I mean, what's worse that could happen? We lose another game.
Yeah, Mick's shaking his head. I'm sort of with Daniel on that one, to be honest with you. Mick, go on.
Listen, I'm not calling Danny because I thought you were going to go on to say changing formation to 4-4-2 or whatever. And I'm not wearing that one. I'm not wearing that at all. Not one little bit. You've got to understand, and people have got to understand that we've got a season here where we've got 80 points on the board, 80 points on the board. That means we are not a bad footballing side. That can't mean anything else. You cannot argue with that point. We are capable. We have got the ability. We can do it because we have proved it all season. And anybody who says anything different is just plain wrong because they've proved it. They've consistently proved it. We've hit a bad patch. We've hit a bad patch at the moment, and it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Whatever system you play, whatever system you use at work, whatever it is, whatever it may be, particularly in a sporting environment, it will have its ups, it will have its downs. It will never, ever be consistently up here, ever. what you don't do, knowing it works, is then as soon as it starts to peter out a little bit or waver or whatever, start making wholesale changes to it because it works. You know it works. You've proved it works. So, yeah, there may be some tweaks to be done. There may be some tweaks to be made, but there are other things at play, like we've said before, like we said in the last podcast. It's not about ability. It's not about a desire or a will to win, no matter what anybody says. And anybody who questions the desire of the team, the desire of the club, the desire of the manager or the players to win a game, again, is wrong. End of. Because they've all got those things. However, it's not working on the pitch at the moment. And I accept that. But it isn't going to work for 46 games. It's just not going to happen unless you've got absolute world-class elite footballers, and we haven't got that, and neither has anybody else. So, yeah, there needs to be changes, but maybe small, little changes, not necessarily to formation or the way that we're playing, but approach to the game and attitude.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say formation, because that's been our bread and butter for the whole season, and to change it just because you've hit a very sticky patch towards the end of the season is silly when you've played it for 45 plus games, including cup games, and vast majority of times it's worked. You know, well, like you say, mate, just little tweaks here and there. That's what we need. I think we've tried to play it too safe and not made the changes, like Warney said in his interview after the game. You know, like I think to touch on that a little bit as well, if you were to ask Warney the same questions either today or on Wednesday, his answer would have been a lot different. But you could tell Warney felt let down as well, and he felt he let down fans that had travelled as well. But even then, Warney knows that we need to make a couple changes. But I think part of him's like, but will those changes cost us? You know, because they're still pushing for automatics. He said so in his interview today. They're still going for it. But I think now there's so many options that people are like, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? Like, we'll all admit we're not football managers, but, you know, just little tweaks here and there, you know, like bringing Wes into defence when he's been very good in the games that he's played this season. Same with bringing Reg in. You know, we're at the point now, it's like, well, what's the worst that could happen? We could lose. We've lost 3 on the bounce now in the league, certainly. Lost 3 on the bounce with 4 shots on target as a collective in those 3 games. So something isn't quite firing, and in those 3 games we've conceded 7. You know, so I think that you just need to make just a little tweaks. You know, just tweak your lug nuts. You know, and tweak the tightness a little bit around the wheel, and it might improve it. Or it might not, but you don't know if you don't try, do you?
Yeah, a lot to unpack. I will go on to a couple of those points. First of all, I want to clarify. Empowerment in the UK said 80 points is not enough, Mick. I assume that you mean 80 points for this time of the season. I assume you don't.
Yeah. We're not at the end of the season, are we?
Yeah.
And listen, quite clearly, you know, if we come to 46 games and we're still on 80 points, it's not going to be enough. Everybody knows that, and I accept that. But I'm talking about right now, right here, right now, where we are.
Yeah. Let's talk about this Paul Warne interview after the game. And Danny's right. I 100% agree with Danny that if it asked again today, a lot of questions he was asked again today in the pre-match presser, he came across much better. And unfortunately, it wasn't hard. That was one of the hardest interviews to listen to him, Mick, and listen to some of the comments. He clearly didn't want to be there, and I get that. He was emotional, semi-emotional after the game. Ideally, in real terms, if that was any other job in the world, he wouldn't have done that interview. He wouldn't have talked to anybody. He would have gone straight home and done whatever, walk the dog or whatever. But managers have to do those interviews. And some of the comments were very, very strange. They're not knowing what the problem was and things like that. We've got to cut into slack because of all the things we just mentioned. But for us to read that as fans straight after the game when we're already still annoyed, it just riled everybody up a bit further because some strange comments came out of his mouth for the reasons I've already mentioned.
Yeah, maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Listen, the lad wears his heart on his sleeve. Absolutely, 100% wears his heart on his sleeve. And if he felt worse than any of us, I can absolutely guarantee you he will have felt much, much worse than any of us about that result. Not necessarily about the performance, but certainly about the result. He will have felt much, much worse. So I wouldn't even put any stall in anything necessarily that he actually said. Maybe the way he came across, I would. Maybe the way he held himself and kind of presented himself as a person, but the actual meaning of the words that he used, I put very little store on it, because in the emotion of losing a game like that, nobody's thinking straight. Nobody, So I think to be critical of him. Well, I mean, we're going to be critical of him anyway, aren't we? That's just what we do, by the sounds of it. I don't put any store on what he said at all, personally. For him to come out and say, "Well, I don't know what went wrong." Well, I mean, everybody else seems to know what's gone wrong. So I'm sure he does, and I'm sure he knows what they're working on, and they know what they need to work on.
Gerald Simpson asked, could he have not sent his assistant instead if he's emotional? Does he have to measure? For post matches, I'm not certain. I think he can, but for the most part, it has to be the manager for the most, unless in circumstances.
He's a leader. The man's a leader.
I think I would have thought. Again, we all don't want to put words in Warner's mouth. I would have thought he wanted to do it. If anybody was going to do it, Paul Warne would have wanted to do it. He wouldn't want to put somebody else up, is how I read into it.
He's a man that takes responsibility, isn't it?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he'd have sent Richie or Hammy out to do it, it would have sent the wrong message to the people who were listening. Almost as if he was shying away from what's just happened. So I say fair play to him for actually doing the thing in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think after the game, everybody was emotional, not just Warney and the players, but the 300 fans who travelled down. And, we all say things we regret when we're angry and emotional, don't we? The things you regret most are when you're angry or when you're drunk. And when you mix the two together, it's never good, is it? But I think in hindsight, looking back at Warney's comments, when he says he doesn't know what went wrong, I think you look to Warney for the answers, but sometimes when something goes wrong and you've tried to set it up in the right way, but it still goes wrong, it's just being honest. He probably doesn't know where it's gone wrong, and he needs to have a look at it and decide where it has gone wrong. Same with us on this. We don't quite know where it's gone wrong 100%. We still like to talk about it and try and work it out, don't we?
Yeah, Ben, you like to think you like about listening to people, and I don't know if you've watched the full info, read the comments. What were your thoughts on his demeanour and what he said and everything else?
I don't really watch press conferences because he's not going to tell the truth, is he? If the truth is that he doesn't know what's gone wrong, then he should be sacked. He's not. Even if he doesn't know what's gone wrong, he's not going to come out and tell the 23 other managers that he doesn't know what's gone wrong, is it? Even if he didn't know what's gone wrong. So I don't really listen to press conference like the interviews, press conference before matches, because they say the same thing in different words every time. So
Paul's a slight exception to that, though, isn't he?
Slightly. Yeah, he is. Well, is it though?
Oh, yeah, I suppose. I suppose we don't know, do we?
Yeah. Just because every other manager said the same thing, and Paul Warne might just put a little twist on it. But no, you can't really read into that, in my opinion.
Yeah. On tweaks and things like that, we'll talk about tweaks further on in the episode about pre-match for Ipswich. I talked about this in the game, Mick. I say it to you. I say it to whoever else we're watching it with. There needed to be a change during the game, and when we were 2-0 down, and when they obviously go to 3-0 down, to keep like for like didn't make any sense. You needed to roll the dice when you had that one sub left. I know Tutu got injured, but you needed to roll the dice to change something. If we just kept doing the
Who
same
did you bring on?
Well, let me get me. I'll get substitutes.
So either Harding or Ferguson or Miller.
Yeah, you change something. You go more attacking. You try and solidify. You try and do something. But if they're on bench, we're saying they're available for selection.
Well, who else is going to put on bench?
I mean, you could have used the players on the pitch and done something different. What I'm saying is, it just felt like let's get out of here. We're 3-0 lost when it got to 3-0. What I want to see, and again, it's not a massive criticism because we're 3-0 down and it didn't matter, but just do something different. Try something. Try Chio on the left. Try going a two in midfield with an extra man up top or extra man in defence. Try tweaking things at that time in the game, because it could just spark a little bit of positivity. A little bit. It might just be a goal or a shot on target or something. there was not a change. Every change was like for like. There was never going to be a change in formation. If we should mid-game, we accept sometimes needs to happen. I was really disappointed. That's the one of the areas I was disappointed in, that we didn't see something in the game tweak or change, and I can't work out why.
One thing I will say on that point, there was a moment in the second half where it just looked like we were coming to life. And the annoying thing is, it was just before Pompey scored their second goal as well. We were just starting to put passes together and just trying to work it out a little bit. And I said to the lads I was stood with, it's like, hey, something could happen here. We're just starting to come into it. And then Pompey scored, and it was just like, that's when toys came out at Pram for me. It's like, we've tried this, and now they've scored, now heads will go down. And they did. The heads went down, and then we didn't really fathom how to work it out and break them down after that. And I think as fans, I think someone's mentioned it in the comments, the sucker blow is that two former Rotherham players scored during the game, Robertson and Hurst. George Hurst, we said on the podcast, of all people to score, it's bound to be George Hurst. And I'll man up and say, he made Wood look like a right mug at times during that game. There were some turns that he did that just sent Woody into the stand and just like he weren't there. Like there were one time on the halfway line where he's just outstrengthened him, ran down the right-hand side and has assisted Arnis for their second goal. And I think that's the thing why a lot of the fans got, not to call it over-emotional, but you know what I mean, like a bit more vocal about it, is that one of our best defenders has just been made to look a mug by a player who couldn't get into the Rotherham side and score a single goal. And that's when Ed just went poof, you know. And like I say, Matt, that's the time where if you go out with 2-0 down, let's try something different, because what we're doing now clearly isn't working. And that comes back to my argument of we're trying to put square pegs in triangular holes, and just didn't work at the end of the game. And as soon as we went 3-0 down, I swear I heard little explosions in from away end, because heads were going left, right, and centre. But the funniest thing from the away end after they scored their third goal was you could see people sort of edging to leave, but they don't quite want to. It's like they've really had enough, but it's like they're still going to stay for the team. I was wondering. I moved out line, and it was like, I really want to go, but I know I won't be able to get back on the coach, so I'm going to stay and try and will them to at least score one, and didn't work. So I made my own entertainment at the back of the away end.
Yeah. Mick, anything to Mick or Ben, or anything you would like to add on the in-game changes that never came?
Nah, not for me. Didn't work, did it? Simple as that.
There weren't any.
Well, yeah.
That's the point. That's my point anyway. There weren't any.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know that, do you?
Well, I do, because I watched the game and I can tell you nothing changed. There was no change in formation. There were change in personnel, but the change in personnel didn't change.
Yeah, a change in it doesn't have to be a change in personnel or formation for there to be a change on the field.
There wasn't a change.
Yeah, well, not for the personnel or the formation, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a change. I'm not saying there was, but you can't say that there wasn't a change just because of the personnel.
I watched the game and I can tell you nothing changed.
Yeah, maybe the change didn't work. You don't know. It's impossible. It's genuinely impossible.
Okay.
I mean, from what I saw from the away end, we just tried to keep doing the same thing, and Portsmouth just went no and just went off and did their thing instead.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning, Mick, that the goals we conceded were poor goals to concede. The first one is a very un-Rotherham United thing to do. Robertson had freedom of the box, and it's a set piece. You know what I mean? That's normally Rotherham United's bread and butter. For that to be so simple. So I think somebody in the comments criticised Victor on that one, which I think for the first was a bit harsh.
It was.
For me, it's just a good idea from a set piece.
Listen, that first one, Woody, with the greatest respect to Richard Wood, I love him to bits, but Woody were at fault for that goal and the second goal. He didn't go with Robertson. It was his man, and Woody's just stood and watched him. He just stood and watched him, unfortunately. Likewise with the second goal, where he's been old manned by him. I mean, that is just. That sums up the way that we as a team are playing at the moment. For Richard Wood to be old manned by George Hurst in middle of pitch.
What does that mean?
Just full.
Just outpaced him and outstrengthened him.
Outwitted
Outwitted him. I mean, why Woody's come so far, so deep to challenge for that ball is utterly beyond me. He's left Matic and Icky. He's just going out to dry. But listen, you can't criticise him. You can't criticise. You can for that mistake, but overall you can't because well, you can't. And likewise, the third goal with Victor. What Victor were doing. Victor's just done a goalkeeper rush of blood to head, hasn't he?
For me, he's done a goalkeeping thing where it's going really badly. I want to do something to help.
Yeah. I need to get involved in this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately. So you've got 3 goals there that we've conceded, which were all our own fault, all our own doing. It's nothing to do with the way Portsmouth played. They were bang average. Unfortunately, so were we.
Yeah, Geraldine seems to agrees. She senses that the Victor reacting how he did was third in frustration, how his defence had left him under pressure for a lot of the game. I think that's probably it. Chris Abrahams, let's give the question, Chris. So let's say theoretically that it's not system formation, ability, desire to win. That leaves mentality and confidence. Have the methods of the staff to get them going. Have the methods of the staff to get them going lost effect, or why are we so low playing with fear? Sorry, Chris, I've completely butchered your question there.
I think at times it's it's a mixture of the first 3 that then leads to the second 2. Because sometimes the system formation doesn't work. Sometimes ability comes into question, not overall ability, but just like sudden influxes of bit like Woody. He's a player that's got the experience and they know how to defend properly, but that moment where he's so far forward or he's not tracked his man has led to a goal. That's where that ability thing comes into it. But then if you take those 3 and put them one on top of the other, then it leads to issue in mentality and confidence. Because it's like with Charlton. As soon as Charlton scored, heads went down, so that's the confidence note. Same with Shrewsbury, by losing 3-0 to Shrewsbury and having a man sent off. That's a mentality thing of we're up against the wall and we're still, and we've been demolished for it. Same with Portsmouth. Portsmouth could have been a confidence thing. As soon as that second goal goes in, then you see the moment of madness from Victor, which is a moment of, like we've said, frustration madness. And then that plays on the mentality and the confidence again. So it's domino effect, isn't it, really? And I think that's why we're having such an issue pinpointing exactly where it's gone wrong, because I don't think there is one thing that's undermining us. I think it's things that have stitched themselves together that's led to a really poor run of form. And you have to break the chain. Somehow you have to break the chain. And that might lead into why Warney said, I don't know where it's going wrong, because he hasn't found it yet. Where is that breaking the chain that we can exploit? Is it absolutely finessing a 1-0 against someone, and then that brings back the winning mentality and confidence? We don't know. But that's the thing he has to find out. And personally, I think he will find it out. Whether it's Saturday, we'll have to wait and see. But something in that chain needs to break. Whether it's a thing of, we're going to drop in points, MK are dropping points, yet they're still getting away from us. That might be the next thing to break the chain of we need to catch them now. Let's go and get them.
Yeah. As a bit, Reece, go on, Mick.
Maybe you could start with banning them all off social media.
Oh,
yeah, it's an idea.
Players.
Are they even on social media?
Well, ban them from looking at it.
Right. Well,
just delete the app until end of season.
I think if they take anything from social media to actually take that as any meaningful, then they should get sacked, because it's ridiculous. Professional footballers arguing with fans. I know they're not, but if they do, then I disagree with that, Nick.
Yeah, I probably disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul Warne used the phrase "they've got to take the medicine," and I think that's fair. They've got to accept the way that they've been playing is below par, not acceptable. Let's put it bluntly. It's not acceptable the way they've been playing.
Agreed, absolutely.
They all know that, but at the same time, as a fan, it's what do you want your fans to do? They're frustrated. Yes, some take it too far. Completely agree with that. The worn out and the nonsense like that, I completely agree. Fans are frustrated. This has come from nowhere. I was talking to an Ipswich podcast last night, and 8 weeks ago, we were sailing off into sunset. We were in championship.
Yeah.
We were done and dusted. And for us now to be dragged into this position, and it's not like we've been playing really well and we've been dragged into it. We've almost walked into it. We've walked into the trap, haven't we?
Yeah,
and that's the frustration. And that's when you've got to accept some of the frustration, not all the frustration, because I think some people have gone way too far. But there is correctly a lot of frustration for Rotherham fans.
And just from your point there, Matt, yeah, we were sailing off into sunset, but now we found the boat's got an hole in it.
Exactly. That's exactly where we are. It is, yeah. I'm trying to pinpoint as problems. I found a couple of problems from a stat point of view. Shots. I talked in the last few weeks about bravery, taking shots. Now, in our last 3 games, we obviously played Pompey, Charlton, and Shrewsbury. We've had 4 shots on goal during those games. In the corresponding fixtures throughout in this season, we had 14 shots combined over those 3 games. Now, again, it's a really simple thing to say, but you've had 11 more shots in those games. That sounds really obvious, Ben. And has that been too overly simplistic, saying it just shoot more?
No, just play better. You play better, goals will come. It's shots are irrelevant. It's goals that count.
You can't score if
I know you score, yeah. But we're just shooting from anywhere. If you play better,
that's the point.
If you just play better, that's it. Just play better. Get a grip. Just be better. Like, we've been awful. Genuinely, just be better. That's it.
There were periods of that game, very, very brief as they were, and against Charlton. There were, Ben.
There hasn't been from a game that I've watched in a very long time where September, October, November, and December, them months, you just knew we were going to score. You just felt it. You felt it every time we got the ball. I ain't felt like that since probably before Accrington.
No, I agree. What I was going to say,
get Sutton in extra time. That's probably the last time I felt it.
What I'm about to try and say is there were periods in that game and against Charlton where we were playing reasonably well. We were playing confidently, but we didn't create any openings as a result of it. And then it just petered out again. So, if we'd have walked away from Portsmouth on Tuesday night with a 1-0 win, nobody would have been saying it was a dreadful performance. Nobody. So the bottom line is, Tuesday night was a dreadful result. It were 3 dreadful goals to concede. However, as an overall performance, it were bang average. It weren't bad. It weren't great. It were bang average. We conceded 3 poor goals. So let's not start getting, throwing baby out with bathwater here. It weren't great. It was just bang average.
It's been like this for a good 2
months.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I'm not making excuses.
That's nearly half the football season.
Yeah, I accept that. What I'm trying to say to you is, this is not a bad team. These are not, particularly for this level, bad performances. They're bad results, bad goals to concede, bad mistakes to make. I accept all that. But overall, performance-wise, it's just bang average. It's bang average League One performances, but the results are not going right.
But for us, bang average is not good enough.
No, it's not. I agree. What I'm saying to you is that the gap between us getting back to the level that we were at is nowhere near as big as people seem to be making out. We're not a bottom of the league side who can't string 3 passes together. That's not where we are. We're mid-table. We're mid-table at the moment. That's the performances. The results.
Form table putters, man.
The results are bottom of the league.
20th form table puts us.
Although that is over the last 5.
I don't know. My mic working here, or am I just? I'm not sure. Am I cutting out? Am I doing a bit of a what's his name? Norman Collier. I don't know.
I love it when Ben's here. Love it when Ben's here.
I think
I get what
just to add to mixing pot, this is a great stew of where's it gone wrong, this, isn't it? Just to add to the mixing pot, a bit of spice on top of it. Like you say, Ben, yeah, since Accrington, we haven't really looked a like you said, average side, but we've still found ways to win, and that's what you do in football. It's not necessarily about how you win; it's scoring more goals than opposition. And suddenly now we found ourselves not doing that, and we just need to find that little thing that just. Even if we have to keelhaul a result of at line, just get it off at line.
Yeah.
No, if we draw against Ipswich, in all honesty, right, if we draw against Ipswich, I'm happy because we've still got something out of it. Whether it's a dirty 0-0, I don't care. Just get a point on board and get us above 80 because we seem to be stuck there.
Style.
Yeah,
Just pull
it off at line for Christ's sake. Just go right. We're on 81 now. We can get going, but we've somehow hit 80 and then run into a brick wall. And we just somehow can't get over 80 points. So whatever happens, just get us over 80 points for the love of Christ. And then I'm happy.
Yeah. We're going to have a quick word from Manscaped. Very quick word from our sponsor today. Still Manscaped. Thank you for sponsoring us. Have a look at the advert and we'll be back. Oh, there's plenty to cover. There's so much more to cover. We'll be back in a minute.
Manscaped, who very kindly decided to sponsor us. They're promoting their new product, the Lawnmower 4.0, which is kind of well known for reducing cuts and making it a lot easier to trim your balls. You can buy this separately or in a bundle called the Performance Package, which in that you get a ball toner, and ball deodorant, which are actually very handy because they're specifically designed for your balls, so they work very well. I highly recommend all of this. The lawnmower, it comes with a little light. There that comes on when you turn the razor on. So it's very good. It comes with a little charging port, which is also a little holder. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I use it, and I highly recommend it.
You highly recommend it, Ben? You highly recommend that somebody goes to manscaped.com and enters the code NYT for free shipping and 20% off. So that's manscaped.com for 20% off free shipping using the code NYT. And Ben highly recommends it.
Thank you very much, Ben. Ben highly recommends it. Russ Vernon in the comments says, Mick, some fans don't see the games, they just see the results and think it's a bad performance. Yes, that's part of it. That's partially true. I've done a bit of research again, 2 bits of research for me today, which is unusual for the podcast. This one is a piggyback off the RUFC's tweet earlier, where he tweeted about us, how we've dealt with going behind, and the results, the subsequent results. So basically, this season, we've gone behind 10 times this season, and we have recovered 4 points from losing positions this season. I think it's 1 win and a draw. That's very low compared to our history. Even last season, the Championship, when we were not very good, we picked up a few more points. But last time in League One, from losing positions, we gained 15 points. From the 2018-19 season, which was a Championship relegation season, we picked up 14 points from losing positions. And the playoff winning season of 2017-18, we picked up 18 points from losing positions. Now, I know what you're going to say, Mick, is that we don't go behind very often. And I think that's partially a valid argument. But I have a counterpoint to that already. Coventry, again, in the shortened season, two seasons ago, Coventry obviously went up as champions, obviously. They were only behind 12 times that season. They managed to pick up 19 points from 12 games, from those 12 games that they went behind in. And that becomes mentality again, I suppose, Mick. Yes, we don't go behind very often, but we don't seem to react very well to going behind. Choose the answer. They just gone at 2 good examples. As soon as the goals went in, never really thought like we were getting back in game.
But you've answered your own question, haven't you? I mean, I don't know whether you're asking me, expecting me to give you an answer to it. Well, you've answered your own question. We don't go back. We're not used to going behind. We've hardly gone behind all season. What were the stats about that we banged on about a couple of weeks ago that we've been behind for something like 117 minutes all season? Don't be. You can make stats say anything you want them to say, anything at all. The only stat that counts is 80 points, a game in hand plus massive goal difference to second. That's the only stat that counts. The only stat. So yeah, you're right. All right, we haven't come from behind yet. Or if we have, we've managed 4 points. Never been behind. And you're right. That's exactly what I'm going to say. You can make him say whatever you want. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Is it? That's that phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. Danny, Ben, anything to add on those?
I think it's Paul.
What's Paul?
Yeah.
No, because I don't know. As a Rotherham, we've always been the underdog. Always been like a little club. That's, you know, how do I explain it? Like, you know what I mean? Like underdog. No one really thinks we're gonna do well. So we're used to coming back. But this season, we were top by 6 points, and I think that's got to some people a little bit. Got to some players that were 6 points ahead. We were coasting. At one point, we were one of the best teams in the country. We conceded like 4 away all season or something. Broke Jose Mourinho's Chelsea record, which is, I don't think people realise how absurd that is. That's one of the best defensive managers of all time in one of the best defensive teams of all time. And I think I got to some players' heads a little bit, in my opinion.
Possibly.
Interesting. Phil Hulley, form table doesn't mean anything. It's points on the board. People need to calm down. And yeah, it's bad at the minute, but we are still in with a chance to vote on promotion. And with a game in hand, it could be worse. We could be a Donny fan. Yes, that is true.
The other thing I'll say to that, Phil, and I don't mean this in a bad sounding way or anything, but we had two game in hand over MK Dons on Monday, and look where we are now.
Can I ask you something? Do you know if this is worst case possible, right? We lose 1-0, right? Let's just say we lose 1-0 Saturday, right? Yeah, this is worst case possible. We lose 1-0, and MK we lose 3-0, right? A really bad performance. We lose 3-0, and MK Dons win 3-0. That puts them 3 points ahead of us, right? We've still got 6 points ahead, right?
I thought they were 2 points ahead of us. Is it?
No,
is it
3. They drew a weekend, didn't they?
Oh, Christ.
3. That puts us, and let's say we win our game in hand against Sunderland. No, actually, just after Saturday. What do you think about that, Mick? What would you say?
What if we're on equal points?
We lose and MK Dons win.
6 points.
What are you saying? What are you saying about
it's a big struggle?
Points on board and stuff.
Yeah. It's a big struggle.
Should you say Saturday's a must win?
Yeah.
I think every game now is a must win.
I feel like everyone's trying to go and make into something then.
Yeah.
What are you wanting me to say?
You don't usually say games are must win. So I thought you were going to say let's go out there and have fun.
They're all must win. Yeah, well, listen, go out there and have fun, lads, and you're all going to medal whether you win or lose when you come back. That's what
I thought you were going to say.
Shall we tell them to go and have a kickabout on Thorpe Fields as well? They can come and have a kickabout with us when we won 11-2. You know, that'd be a great game of football. Anyway.
No, mate, it's a massive game. 5 massive games. But on the flip side of that, though, Ben, we could win. McDonald's lose. We're a game. We're on the same points, better goal difference, and a game in hand in second position. Could happen.
Do you think we'll win? Do you think we will?
I don't know, mate.
I think MK Dons will lose. Is the real question. Do you think MK Dons look like losing?
Yeah, they'll lose to Wednesday.
Yeah, well, they only drew to Wimbledon. I know Wimbledon have changed.
They'll lose to Wednesday. I'm absolutely positive. I'm convinced that Piggies will beat them on Saturday.
Interesting.
Piggies have got. Listen, the Piggies have got a lot of incentive here. They've got a big incentive, haven't they? When you look at their season, Sheffield Wednesday's season, they could end up playing us at Wembley. I mean, it's just think about that as an incentive for them. Cup final for them.
If they win, then that puts us up. That helps us.
Yeah.
That's not going to help the incentive. It's not going to be. That's not an incentive.
Because they're going to want McDonald's up so they can play us.
Yeah. So why would they want to win?
Ah, that's a good point, actually. Didn't think that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, mate. I've got a spade somewhere.
I'll
if
get
you
me
need
cool.
Oh, you've just took apart his art. He's try winding this Wednesday fans up. Ben just picked it apart for you.
Oh, yeah, that
Oh,
fell apart, didn't it?
Yeah. Very good, Ben. Very, very good.
Whatever.
Yeah. So let's move on. Unless you got anything else meant to mention, we've briefly talked about the goals as much as I want to talk about them. But if anyone else wants to mention anything else, feel free. Excellent.
Oh, sorry, did you ask a question then? I was too busy reeling from my own stupidity then that I.
Mick's there just trying to work it out in his head, like, how's he getting into this corner?
Yeah. It should be noted that the playoff schedules have been released today by the EFL. They're on our Twitter page, on the EFL's Twitter page, if you want to have a look at them. The headline is that the second leg, if we were to finish third, the second leg falls on Paul Warne's birthday.
Can I just raise a point on that as well, right?
Go on.
I know the EFL have released the dates for the playoff first and second leg semi-final, but the audacity of the football club to actually retweet it, I think it's like, don't. Like, I know you want to make us aware, like, fair enough, you just do your job, but it's like, don't put that doubt in our heads. We don't need it.
We don't need that at all. The final is scheduled. It's going to be the 21st of May, Saturday, 21st of May. Different weekend to League Two and the Championship. Something to do with the Queen's Jubilee. I have no idea. Anyway, we are live on Sky, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday afternoon. Ipswich Town come to New York Stadium. First of all, before we get on to the game, thoughts on it being moved from Good Friday, Ben? Good Friday, Easter Monday tends to be a historic date in the footballing calendar. Do you care, or are you like me, where I think it ideally should have been preserved?
I could not care less.
Wonderful. The right man for that one.
Means I got nothing to do on Good Friday now.
That's fair on Conisbrough if you want to go to that, mate. Dennerby.
No, I'm all right, thank you. Oh, if you'll take me, I'll go.
You can jump back with 2 kids, yeah, that's fine, mate.
All right. Pick me up what time?
In fact, I'll stay home and you can go instead of me. Mick, I know you're more of a bit of a traditionalist. Do you care?
Not really. I've only got one thought. As far from a footballing point of view, Matt, all I've got in my mind at the moment is hoping and helping this club to try and turn it around. That's all. That's all that matters to me. I don't care whether we play Saturday, Friday, Monday, middle at night. I'm not interested. I don't care. I just want us to be able to turn it around, and that's all that's important to me at the moment.
Okay, forget it.
What, in your whole life?
Sorry?
In your whole life? You said that's all that's important to me.
Yeah. That's it. It consumes my every waking hour, and while I'm sleeping as well. I dream about it while I'm asleep.
Okay. Moving on.
I think Mick's got a lot of riding on Saturday.
You haven't bet the house, have you?
Oh, no, don't put that out there in public.
We have only one defeat in our last 5 games against Ipswich, but they come into the game. Sorry, one defeat in our last 8. In all competitions. The one win in 5 is Ipswich's current running form. So not in a shining run of form, Danny. 1 win in 5, but only 1 loss in 5 as well. So there's obviously a couple of draws in there.
They've drawn against Portsmouth, Oxford, and Shrewsbury. Oh dear, and then beaten Plymouth. So, I'm of the mindset that Saturday's is now he's probably a must win, but one of them where you'd settle for a draw, just because the run with the league run we've been in. It's like just take something where there's a point, or at least a point on the board, you know. So if we draw 0-0 or 1-1 or whatever with Ipswich, I'm happy personally because it's just a change. It's just a change in losing 3 on trot. If we break the 3 on the trot, it could instill a bit of confidence in us. But then again, Ipswich aren't any mugs in terms of playing the teams that have already beaten us in this run. And 9th in the table, so they've got a little bit of an outside chance of making the playoffs. So they'll be trying to get as many points as they can to try and get there. So yeah, there's a lot riding on this game. And I'm absolutely dreading it personally. Absolutely dreading it. It's only going to go like, but I'm absolutely dreading it. I'm so glad I'll be hungover because I won't remember after it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a huge game. Let's turn on to what we want to see in terms of lineups and setup. I'm going to start with the obvious. I assume all of us would be wanting to see us stick to the 3-5-2. You don't want to see a change in formation. I'm assuming you all 4 of us are happy to keep the same.
Mm-hmm.
Brill, excellent. Michael Moore just comment. I'm not bothered if we win or draw, get some points and move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Go on, Danny, what you're saying?
I was just going to say, anyone who thinks we need to change the formation now to try and break the chain, I can understand why you think it, but at the same time, we're only going to change the system by playing the formation we know how to play and the formation we're used to. You know, we're not in a relegation scrap and desperately trying to grind out results. So yeah, stick with 3-5-2 because we know how to play it. You know, we know how to play it, and we just need to break the chain somewhere else, I think.
Yeah, what I also say is to change formation even to a 4-4-2, which I personally think is one of the basics formations everybody knows. You still need time. You still need time to drill it back into the players. And playing Saturday Tuesday, you haven't got that time. You haven't got that time to drill it into them. I think it's another reason whether we should or shouldn't. That's one of the reasons we won't see it certainly from the start. Whether we see any in-game changes, wait and see. Worth mentioning, Saturday will be Victor's 50th appearance for Rotherham United, and that's such his 50th appearance of his professional career, because he's going to play. Let's start with the back three. Mick, the question is really Woody. I'll start with Woody. He played Saturday, Tuesday, which is unlike him, especially with it being such a long trip down to Pompey as well. Could you see Woody being pulled out of Saturday? I don't think he played at their place, did he, Woody, at Ipswich?
I don't think he did, no. He wouldn't play for me on Saturday, no. He's out of form, is Woody. He's out of touch. I don't know whether he's carrying an injury, whether he's tired, whether he's weary. I don't know what it is. But for me, he's out of touch. He's just not there at the moment. He's just not reading the game like he has done. I think he needs a rest. And mainly because of the fact that he's out of touch, not for any other reason, really. I wouldn't have him in there. I'd bring Icky back into the middle, and I'd have Reg and Wes back there. That would be my view.
He did play.
And Wes, depending on what the issue is with Reg, whether there is an issue there.
Yeah. Ben, what are your thoughts on those? I'll interrupt to yawn to ask you about it.
On Woody?
Yeah.
I think he should get dropped. But I don't think so. Play. I think Red will come back in, or Harding. I think Harding's injured. I think he's got a little knock. Because there's no reason why he won't be playing. There's literally no reason. I don't think so. I feel like he's definitely carrying a knock. But if he's not, I'd like to see him come back in. But I definitely think Red will come back in.
Okay. Anthony Greenwood makes a valid point though, Danny. Too much tinkering and change in the back line since Reg came out. That's also a valid point. Is how often have we probably had the same back three starting game after game, probably since the turn of the year. It's quite few and far between, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a very valid point that. But I think when you've lost 3-0 to Pompey and not just your captain, but one of your centre backs is at fault for at least two of the goals. I think something just needs to be said. And plus Woody's not really up to it. Sounds really harsh on him, but you know what I mean. Saturday Tuesday is a big ask for a defender that likes to move up forward and try and win the ball slightly higher up than to come back into defence. So I can see Woody being pulled out, not just for being at fault for 2 goals, but also just to rest him a little bit, because we've still got Saturday Tuesday to do, haven't we? So I can see Woody coming out, and then Wes, Icky, and Edmonds Green. I think for our back line that could. It's one of the very just try it. You know what I mean? Just try. If it works, it works. It don't. That's where we're at minute, isn't it?
First, Vern has Ben question. Ben, why would Harding be on the bench if he was injured? Why would you not have something like Kelly?
Who?
You said you think Wes Harding must be. I forgot about you.
I don't think it was that funny, but that was really funny.
Georgie Kelly, the guy who signed from Ireland, who some people don't think exists, or not have a spare striker on the bench instead of Wes if you think he's injured.
Why not have him on the bench?
Yeah, if you think Harding's injured, we say he must be injured. He was on the bench. Why would you not? What do you think of having maybe not have Kelly on the bench instead of him? We don't know.
There could be a couple of reasons. It could be you don't want to tell everyone else that Harding's injured. Because if he comes out at squad, it's obvious to every other manager that he's injured. So they can game plan for that. One reason maybe Kelly's not good enough. Simple. Maybe he's not fit enough, but maybe he's still injured. Been on too many beers. I'm joking. Maybe he's still not fit enough. You know, somehow I don't know how long it takes to get a human fit. But yeah, could be a lot of reasons. I'm not gonna say because I don't know what's wrong with the kid.
I love Ben's drive-by digs. They are brilliant.
I don't know what's wrong with him. So
He's just got Matt 10 out the window having a go, hasn't he?
I don't like it takes a human to get fit, but, you know.
I don't. If you want 4 months, 3 months, I know he play intense, but come on, Jesus, they're not asking you to compete in the Olympics, but to be more thorough. Do you know what I mean? Play 90 minutes of football.
Okay. Let's move on to the Kelly question. Ben mentions it, Mick. I think Matt Hamshaw said that he is basically available for selection. That begs the question, though, doesn't it? If he is available for selection, that then begs a big question. Why is he not at least on the bench? Give yourself an attacking option.
It does. It does, and I think Paul Davis has written about it in the Advertiser, hasn't he, that Warney has now said that he's available and he may play a part before the end of the season. I think the issue that we've got at the moment is those front two. I think that's a major issue. I think Smith is carrying an injury by the looks of it. My understanding he's got a foot injury or a toe injury or something.
They've still got it on.
Yeah, that he's been carrying for a while. I don't know how much that's affecting him, but he's certainly dropped out of form as well. There's an argument to say that Smithy should not play, shouldn't start. But there's just a stronger argument that says that Freddie shouldn't start as well. You know, in terms of his work rate since he's come back, he's kind of dropped off again. I don't think when he came on Tuesday night, he didn't really set the world alight, and he had the opportunity to really, you know, he got 20 minutes where he could really get his head down and just battle, and he didn't really show himself, did he? So
did anybody help him though?
No. I'm not. Listen, it's not a criticism of him at all. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm just saying to you that, you know, that work rate wasn't there, but then it wasn't there from everybody else as well. So it's not a criticism at all. But it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he's going to get anything. The front two for me, I think, is probably where the issue is going to has arisen. Bottle's not sticking with Smithy, is it? You know, it's going up to him. It's not sticking a lot of the time. His first touch is letting him down a lot more than it has done. Usually, you could guarantee, you know, 99 out of 100 balls into him and stick. Now it's 50-50, isn't it? You know, whether it's going to stick or not. So I think the midfield for me picks itself with the exception of that left-hand side. You can perm anyone from 3 to go on there. It's just the front two that's going to be the issue for me.
Okay. Danny, what would you do? We had a comment down here earlier from somebody saying we should drop. Michael Mortimer says, like I said in the last podcast, drop Smithy, play JJ and Freddie on Saturday. It can't hurt. Where do you sit on the striking selection situation?
Kelly and Freddie up front.
Kelly and Freddie.
I'm dead set on that now. Kelly and Freddie up front, because it's not that we should be like completely dropping Smithy because he's been poor, because strikers have poor patches. It's the fact that I've learned Smithy's still playing broken toes and he's still trying to grind it out, and that's probably why he's got first touch of a donkey at minute, because no matter how much strapping up you put on broken toes, if it hits you just in the wrong place, it's going to hurt. And I think he just needs to rest his feet. If he's still playing with broken toes, he just needs to rest his feet and not, because if he puts too much strain on it, then his feet are going to be knackered in postseason, aren't they? And he's obviously not just in form at the minute. That might be one factor in it, that he's trying to be a bit steady and make sure they heal properly, but still trying to chip in with the team. But sometimes the desire to do well for the team is superseded by the need just to rest you. And I think that's what it be. I mean, Amshaw said that we're going to see Kelly at some point. So just start him against Ipswich, start him alongside Freddie. Like Russ has just said, Freddie only performs well on Sky. We're on Sky. Put Freddie up front with Kelly, and I don't know, they'll probably both score an hat-trick. I don't know.
If you're going to drop Smith, though, and say, like, oh, rest it because it's broken toe, it's a broken toe. So, like, are you saying you drop him for the rest of the season? Because they're not healed quickly.
I wouldn't say drop him for the rest of the season, but just maybe not start him as much, because then the pressure's on for him to perform from the start. But if you bring him on later in the game...
Oh right, yeah. I thought you were saying like rest him completely.
No, not rest him completely. I bring him on later in the game, like, because that's what he did against. Who was it? There was some. I think it was Port Vale. He came on later on against Port Vale and played exceptionally well. All right, he didn't have the injury at the time, but there's less pressure on him to perform well from the get-go, but also be mindful of his feet. If he comes on later in the game, he can go, right, I know what I need to do now, and he'll try and do it without thinking as much of his toes, and it's less pressure on his toes to play a full 90 minutes. So I think if you were to start Kelly and then bring Smith on around the 60th minute, because they're similar sort of players, they're both very aerial players but good at holding up the ball, that could work out. It's just not having that pressure on Smith from the start and the full game pressure sort of thing.
That's a massive curveball as well for the centre-backs.
Yeah, and I saw another comment earlier saying we need to be unpredictable. That's very unpredictable. Bringing a strike on for his debut.
No one's going to expect to drop Smith. Such a curveball. And then not only that, you got to adapt an hour before a game after the team sheets come out. And then to bring him on, you got to adapt again. I think that's a good idea.
Mick, we've seemed to have developed an ingenious plan here. Do you want to get on?
Yeah, no, I've mentioned it to Warney already. I've just been texting him. That's why I was quiet.
If they've got this on at the Player Awards dinner and Warney's heard this, we have masterminded something. It took 4 brains to come together and formulate a plan for Saturday. Well, 3.5.
39 weren't involved in that.
3.5.
Listen, I don't care what it takes to get back into some sort of form. I don't care what it takes for us to grind out a 1-0 win. I don't care. I'm not interested. I think we said, I don't know whether we said it as we were recording or before we started. It could come off somebody's backside for me. I am not interested. I just don't care. You know, it doesn't matter. Just get me 3 points on Saturday. That's all I ask. You know, you walk away. If we walk away from New York Stadium at 3 o'clock or whatever time, 3:30 on 2, whatever on Saturday afternoon with 3 points in our back pocket, the world will look a very, very, very different place.
Do you think that we are 1 win away from almost getting back to normal?
I think we're 1 win away from getting promoted, yeah. I genuinely do. But that 1 win we can't afford to have that 1 win coming second to last game of the season when it's all over and we're trying to work out who we've got in playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on to the midfield, we're going to go long here tonight. We've got 1 hour 10 already. Apologies, everybody. Midfield 3. By the sounds of Ben Wiles is fit. Ben Wiles sounds a bit. I think Paul did his tweet earlier. Ben Wiles is ready to go. I thought Jamie Lindsay, we mentioned it earlier, Danny, that Jamie Lindsay did well for maybe the first half an hour or so. How tempted would you be to say the same? But at the same time, it didn't end up working. So how different would you be to change something again?
Again, with the midfield, I mean, Barlaser wasn't exactly in peach form recently. He's not been in peach form recently, has he? I'm trying to remember midfield we played at Ipswich. Was Barlaser in the midfield at Ipswich? It was Barlaser, Wiles, and
Lindsay.
Lindsay scored.
Was it Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Ah,
Yeah. Barlaser, Lindsay, Wiles.
I'd go for that. Maybe. No,
we did have a good there, didn't we?
I mean, if we're going with my prediction, we've already got the unpredictability of having Kelly up front, so that'll occupy Ipswich fine. And it's like they've dropped their top striker. What they're playing at. Keep midfield the same as a bit of like a how do you describe it? A bit of a sort of thing they expected, right? Sort of thing they expected. But it's still a quality midfield that we know can play through them quite well because they did so last time. Yeah, I'd say that, and then maybe Chio and Miller on the wings. I think.
Yeah. Peter Carr, Barlaser hasn't been on form since he had a baby. Maybe the lack of sleep is affecting him.
That's actually a very, very good point.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Now leave him on the bench, let him sleep for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll let you have a nap for the first 45 minutes, then we'll bring up the second half. Yeah, John Morello, Birmingham fan with us. Thank you for joining us, John. Isn't Smith your top scorer? Can't drop your top scorer, surely.
Unpredictability.
Mate, John,
what's not happening? It's not working, is it? So,
John, you were in the last podcast. You know how bad we've lost again since then. And haven't scored since then either. So, yeah. Who knows?
Score predictions. Go from bottom to top, Danny.
Praying for a 1-0. That's my prediction.
Benjamin.
Going to get some hate for this. 2-0 loss.
You are horrible.
At least we've scored. That's all I'll say to that, Ben. At least we scored in that prediction.
No, it's 2-0.
2-0.
You said 2-1.
I didn't. I said 2-0. I was going to say 2-1, but then I didn't think we were going to score. So I changed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong, innit?
I hope you're wrong.
I said that for my Portsmouth prediction. Look what happened.
What did you go? 2-0 Pompey? 2-1 Pompey?
I said 1-0 Pompey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've got me. I went 3-2. Oh, we're close. Mick.
Yeah, it's going to be 1-0 to Rotherham. It's going to be a missed kick clearance by centre half that's going to make goalkeeper on arse bounce off both posts and crossbar and go over the line by about half an inch. That's what's going to happen.
Definitely going to be that.
Yeah.
That's what the house is on, so I want to hope so.
Yeah. Yeah,
Can I bet what else on that one?
I will go. I have no idea. Let's go positive. Let's go 3-0. Rotherham. Sod it. Why not?
I'll have some of what you're drinking, Matt. Bloody hell.
Harvey Kelvick says 1-1. Steve Goodwin says 2-0 loss. Geraldine Simpson 1-0. I think that's to us. Paramount UK thinks if nothing's changed, it will be 1-0 to Ipswich. Russ Vernon 3-0 to Rotherham with the Ladapo hat trick. And Phil Hulley on a similar vein 2-1 with the Freddie brace. John Morell is only here for the Ben advert, if he's honest. I get that, mate.
You're going to have to rewind, John. It's been on already.
Yeah. Final question of the night, because we've gone on forever. You can give me a 1-word or 15-word answer. Sam Hadfield wants to know, where do you honestly see us finishing? Let's start with Benjamin. Where are we going to finish, mate?
Third. Heart of Hearts, third. And I don't know if we'll go through to the final at playoffs, to be honest.
You just said Hearts third?
In my heart of hearts, I think
Okay.
third. And I don't know if we'll get through to the final. Genuinely. At the minute, but
At a minute, could all change. Like win 3-0
Yeah,
Saturday, then we're talking about championship again, aren't we?
We win 3-0 and MK Dons lose 3-0. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. But as things stand, yeah. I'm afraid I'm with Ben. I've got my negative little hat on. It's tough a minute, very tough. Danny, any positivity from your end?
I'm going to supersede you here. If nothing changes, 7th. If we get back to winning ways, 2nd.
7th. I
hope I'm never in trouble with you three. I hope I'm never in trouble with you three. Because you're
going to think we're going to win title, mate, like you did pre-season.
You're going to be pushing me in opposite direction, aren't you? If I'm pulling me away from it. We're going to finish 2nd. I'm going for 2nd. I'm happy that we'll finish 2nd so long as we can get something out of Saturday.
That's what I said. That's literally what I said. I said if we win on Saturday, it's different. We're talking right now. We're not right now. Not regard Saturday, right now. Regard last.
Okay.
I think the best thing we can close the podcast with is that famous old saying, never write Rotherham off.
Correct. That is a very, very good point. 5 games left. It's one of those things that don't actually sound like many games, but so much can change in 5 games. So much can change in 5 games. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Or if you're listening audio-wise, iTunes, Spotify, please make sure you subscribe on there and give us a 5-star rating. Please do, if you can, do so. I mentioned at the start, Abby Ackroyd and her family's 3 Picks Challenge. I'll put the link in the show notes on the YouTube and on the iTunes, Spotify. So if you want to find the link and donate or share the link, do so through there. That'd be appreciated by everybody. I feel like I've got some more to say. Anything else, boys?
Nah.
Ben,
you can find the link to the Samaritans number in the comments section.
Yeah. I think we are going back on Easter Sunday. I think the plan at the minute to be here Easter Sunday. I don't know yet. We will talk about it between us. See if we're available. We should be. And have a lovely Easter. Hope Jesus brings you all the eggs.
I don't know. I don't think that's how it works.
What does Jesus bring on Easter? Hot cross buns.
I think you're mixing 2 things up there, Matt.
Yeah.
2 completely different things.
I'll say, is Jesus turned into golden goose suddenly?
It's about Jesus and eggs. That's all I know.
Yes, Jesus laid an egg on Easter Sunday, Matt. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. There you go.
And Easter Bunny came back to life, yeah.
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 Oh,
wow.
Thank you, everybody. We've tried. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've gone on forever. We've gone on for like 2 hours, hour 20. We'll see you all Sunday. Danny, Ben, Mick, pleasure to have you with us again. Ben, I've enjoyed your winding minutes up tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
See you in a bit. Freddy's on one-on-one. Can Freddy shoot? Can Freddy shot? Unbelievable! Apologies to the neighbours.